Good evening, everybody. Professor Mani, welcoming you on behalf of the Bombay Management Association. I'm glad to welcome every one of you for the 27th edition of our Friday Fundamentals EMDP. This was conceived and created by us at BMA, and we started rolling out such Friday Fundamental programs in the month of May. And over the last 6 months, we have seen several experts coming and sharing their knowledge, their skills, and also giving very valuable lessons on various training practices which you could use back at your college, your classroom, and your training room. It's indeed a pleasure for us today to host Kala Divanji and Sham Iyer, both of them who are certified process facilitators, come with an extremely high degree of rich experience in the field of training and facilitation. In fact, last week, as part of our initiatives with academic institutions and recognizing that it was the International Facilitation Week, Sham and Kala did a session for educators in association with the ITM group of institutions, and we had a record-breaking 105 participants for that event. Today, both Kala and Sham here are presenting to us a title program, Vela. And I'm sure all of us immediately would have wondered when we saw this brochure that I didn't know BMA does programs like this. And where is Hindi coming into all of this? And then, of course, you happily realized when you read the poster that we were talking about virtually engaging learning activities. So I must compliment Sham and Kala for first giving such a wonderful title. Welcome back to BMA, and we look forward to a wonderful learning experience again. I'm delighted to welcome some of our very senior BMA officials, particularly our respectful past presidents, Sri Ashok Sharma ji, Sri Indrapal Singh ji, all of them who continuously encourage us in this learning journey, not only by their wisdom, but by their very, very dignified presence and participation. Delighted also to welcome Jagmohan Rishi and Chintan Oza, my colleagues on this committee of Bombay Management Association, which is trying to provide digital learning in these difficult times that we are going through. Before I hand over to Sham and Kala, I'd like Jagmohan Rishi, who himself is a training expert and a doyen in the field of learning and development, to just make a few introductory remarks of his association with Kala and Sham and set the tone for this evening. Over to you, Jagmohan.
Hello. Thank you very much, Professor Mani. And it came as a surprise. And definitely, I've been waiting for this Vela session. And in Punjabi, Vela means no work at all. And but let me share with you that these 2 hours you will not understand how it has passed. And that's a kind of experience which I have with Sham and Kala. I have personally attended the certification sessions and for facilitation. And I can tell you that I have used these learnings in every field, whether it is training, whether it is leadership facilitation, or in the meetings also. So I will, I think I have very high expectations and regard from both of them. That is 360, I'm forgetting the name, 360.
It's 60 Bits Consulting.
60 Bits Consulting. Yeah, 60 Bits Consulting, sorry. So, I mean, I always keep on noting down some of the key learnings which are there. And I can assure you that whenever you are in any kind of meeting, you will, when you implement it, you will always remember Kala and Sham, and they must be getting a lot of sneezes all the time when people are remembering them. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Jagmohan. And I also welcome Arun Chitlangia in our midst, who's one of our committee members, again, a very, very passionate trainer. So let's go on to what I would say, Kala and Sham Iyer for a Ye Sham Mastani. Over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor Mani. Thank you, Jagmohan. Thank you all the friends for setting the context and for being here to experience Velagiri, to experience Vela. And we are really honored to host this again as part of the BMA Friday Fundamentals 27th batch, 27th series. So without much ado, let's get into the session and let's have some fun. Over to you, Kala.
Thank you. I'm just going to remove the spotlight. Thank you so much. Okay. For this, I request everyone to be off cameras now. And I will be making statements, and that is the time when you will come on camera. And when you come on camera, make some noise and some action because you're going to be representing a certain group of people, right? So request everyone to be off camera. And once you're on camera, then you go off again, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so make some noise if you are a corporate trainer or a facilitator. So kindly come on cameras if you are a corporate trainer or a facilitator.
Let's have
Interesting.
some noise also along with.
You can unmute yourself. It's allowed as per as the protocol. Unmute and make your noise.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. So now you can go off cameras again. Yeah. Right? Now you can go off your cameras again. Come on cameras and make some noise if you are from HR and L&D. If you are
Yes.
from HR and
Yeah.
L&D. Yay.
Yeah.
I love to be there.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, great. And for the last time, we're going off cameras and make some noise if you are from any other profession that was not called out for. So any other profession besides the trainer, facilitator, or L&D. Yes, great. Okay. I still see some people off camera. So
Yeah.
Sham, I think we have other people also in the room. Right?
Like Jagmohan said, I'm Vela.
Right.
Not doing anything.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Sham, we have a nice mix of all other professions, a few L&D and HR professionals, and we've got some serious and senior trainers and facilitators for us for this. So welcome everyone. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. So officially welcoming everyone to Vela, that's virtually engaging and learning activities. We just did a Vela with you all that was called Who is in the Room. So this is a very simple, video on, video off kind of a process that we do just to see who is in the room. So rather than taking a very serious poll, you can just tell people to keep in their cameras on and off, to understand who is in the room. So basically, this was one of the Velas that we use. If you see on the presentation, you will have these numbers. So these are the number of Velas that we are going to be experiencing. So first one we just experienced, right? Let's go on to the second one and find out what bird are you? So this is typically a check-in. For this, I'm going to be asking you to grab a pen and paper. Please have a pen and paper with you. A color pen if you have, very nice. If not, it's okay. Divide your paper into such 4 parts. So have a paper and divide it into 4 quadrants. So this is your first quadrant. This is your second quadrant. Your third quadrant. And your fourth quadrant. If you've done, a thumbs up will help me understand that we're good to go. We are ready with our paper and pen. Thank you, Kaushik. I can see that thumbs up. Thank you, Vaijanti. Great. Now what we're going to do is we are going to start drawing. Let's see what we're going to draw. So I'm going to take you all step by step into drawing different kinds of birds. Okay, and let us see whether you can guess what we are drawing at the end of it. Okay, so let us start with the first bird that we are going to be drawing. For the first bird, just make a small V like this, a small V. extend this V. From the start, or the head of the bird, just extend a little bit. Then draw something like a diamond, the shape of an eye, you can say. Let's show some feathers. Let us draw two parallel lines. To connect it, make a W. Okay. Now from this side, let's draw the other part of the body. Just a little curve. For the legs, do two parallel lines. And just some toes. Connect it like this. So if you finish drawing, can you guess which bird is this? You can unmute yourself and let me know. Which bird do you think we have drawn?
Is it duck?
Not a duck, but it starts with a D. It's not a duck though.
Doe.
Yes,
Doe.
yeah, it's a doe. Let's come to the second quadrant. Let's draw another bird. For this, we draw a sharp V, an inverted kind of a V. Extend this in this shape. Now from the top end, just draw the neck. Connecting to the neck, draw W and just extend it. From this extension, just draw a U. Another U here represents the feathers. From this part, draw the body. Draw another W to connect it. Extend this part. Another extension of feather out here. Draw a semicircle. So what does this look like?
Eagle?
It's a hen.
Eagle.
Eagle?
It is an eagle. Thank
Yeah.
you. Are we good till now? Are we good? A thumbs up or yes, unmute yourself. Are we good? Are we ready to draw the third one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm hearing some voices and I'm taking that voice to be that of the group. Let's go on to the third one. Okay. Just draw a kind of a curve. From this side, take it back and join this line. Draw the beak.
Penguin.
I've not finished drawing it. Draw a parallel line like this. Some legs. And now what you need to do is draw small U's to cover the whole part. And from this U's, just draw these lines as if connecting to the body of the bird.
Peacock.
Yes, indeed it is. Yes, peacock. And then if you have color pens or just pens, just decorate the wings, feathers. And this is a peacock. Thank you. Now, let's move on to the last one. Okay. Draw two circles connected. Draw two dots.
All.
Draw a V. Take two V's and extend the line in such a way.
Owl.
Yes, it is. The eye says it all.
Owl.
Yes, it is. Let's finish it. Once you've done this, just draw kind of a leaf. Join it and your legs. And some markings here. And yes, this is an owl. So we have drawn four birds. One is a dove, an eagle, a peacock, and an owl. Now let us see what each of this bird represents. Okay, I'm going to be sharing my screen again. Let us see what each of this bird represents. Okay, so if I'm going to be talking about a dove says, I love peace and I hate conflict. So in conflict mode, I will usually give in or try to avoid conflict at all costs. A dove says, I'm a dictator. I hate to lose in a conflicting situation. I will do all I can to win the arguments I am, even when I'm in the wrong. A peacock says, I am creative and sometimes will break rules to achieve my objectives. During conflict, I will think of all the ways to outwit my opponent. The owl says, I follow rules and regulations closely. In conflict mode, I tend to look for evidence and facts to support my stance. So this is something what all these four birds represent that we've just drawn. Okay, since we all have the birds that I've drawn, the invitation to the group is in the next 20 seconds, select a bird that represents you. Which bird are you? And then we're going to put you into breakout rooms. In the breakout rooms, introduce yourself and speak about the bird that you have selected and why do you think that it represents you, right? So 20 seconds to think which bird, and when you're ready, let me know. I will open the breakout rooms.
Hi, Kala. Could you share the descriptions once
Sure,
again?
sure. I'll do that. I'll do that. Is this what you wanted?
Yeah.
So is the group ready to go into breakout rooms? Can I hear some voices?
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I
Ma'am,
see.
Yes,
can you
yes.
just push this sheet
So-
slightly upwards?
Sorry.
Can you just push this sheet slightly upwards? Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. So you're going to be in the room for around 10 minutes because you're going to be 5 people in the room. Have a conversation and introduce yourself. See that you take around a minute and a half to, talk about the bird that you selected and introduce yourself. Okay, so I'm opening the breakout rooms. Happy conversations.
So we need to go into whichever rooms are allotted. The rooms
Yes,
name would be.
yes, I'm allotting to the room, so you do not have to go and select a room. I'm allotting you a room, so you will be in that room. In the room, request is to please put on your camera so that you can show your drawing and talk about the bird you selected. Okay.
Okay.
So
okay.
automatically you will go in the room, and then after the end of 10 minutes, you will come automatically back.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
You
Thank
can also
you.
chat in the breakout rooms.
Yes, so yeah, please use your chat. If for some reason your audio is not working, that chat will not come out to us or anyone. So it will remain in the group itself. Okay, thank you. Opening the rooms. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for coming out safe and sound. Thank you. Welcome back.
Welcome back. So good to see all of you back after a healthy conversation on who are you, which bird are you. Superb. So let's spend some time understanding. There were 6 breakout groups. So let's hear from each breakout group. Anyone can unmute yourself and share. What were some of the insights that you got when we were discussing in the group and introducing yourself using a metaphor of a bird? What kind of conversations you saw? What was your insights? How did it help you to learn? Let's hear some voice. Let's hear some.
Can I come, Jagmohan here?
Yes, Jagmohan.
Yeah. In fact, I was having a group of very esteemed leaders, starting from Inderpal ji, then of course Naveen was there, Murli was there, and Meena ji was there. So we had this. In fact, when they introduced first time around, there was most of them were showing that we are owl and other things. But in the second round, the people start coming out that we are a mixture of 2 birds. Okay. Then there was also a thought process that, with age, the bird association changes. If you are in college, the bird association will change. If you are in corporate world, then the bird association will change. If you become a senior leader, you become an eagle. And when you retire, you become a different kind of bird. So with the age and designation, your association changes, of course. And that gives us an idea that, one is a role specific bird and one is a real personality bird.
Thank you, Jagmohan. I think that's a
very interesting
insight that you got in terms of the role as well as the individual persona of who we are.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Who else would like to go from the other breakout groups, please?
Yeah, Shyam, it's Kaushik here.
Hi, Kaushik. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, it was actually a great experiences. I think it's one of good ways of or a good icebreaker in a virtual platform. We have never tried this. There's something unique. So what I felt when I was actually means correlating myself with a bird, because I looked at few of the characters, and then what I realized that all the 4, in fact, if not all 4, at least 3 birds qualities were existing in me. So I said that yes, predominantly I'm an owl, but yes, there are traces of the peacock also, and sometimes also the dove. Now, when I'm correlating it, it gives a really great experience because we can correlate with something which we have created by ourselves here. So that's something which was really useful, and it was very interesting, very interesting.
Thank you, Kaushik, and a good insight that you have created it because you have used your own kinesthetic hands to draw it and you have felt it. So that's a great insight. Thank you so much. Who else would like to go?
So in the group one, we had Deepak, Kaushik, I think just spoke to us, Preeti, Shilpa, Vaijanti. So anyone from group one want to add something to what Kaushik just said?
Can I just quickly add?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Welcome.
Yeah, sure. So actually, it was a very interesting conversation, and I personally wasn't sure whether we would take the full 10 minutes, but we absolutely took, and I think we could have done with little more time. But it is exactly like Rishi said, that actually all of us identified with two birds, right? And essentially, it was really the peacock and the owl predominantly. So the whole creativity piece, but at the same time, maybe because many of us have worked for corporates or are working for corporates, the importance of boundaries and presenting with a lot of facts. So it's a combination. I don't think any one word was something that any one of us really identified.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vaijanti.
Yes,
Hi,
sorry.
Naveen.
Sorry, Kala Naveen here.
Yes, please.
Can I add on?
Yes, please.
Actually, I am part of Jagmohan ji's and Indrapal ji's group. I just want to add on what I learned from the breakout zone here. In the group, most of us are alls, but I want to relate two things here. My learnings basically from Jagmohan ji's. One of the very shared his learnings. Okay, he has compared with two birds basically. One is eagle and the other one is the peacock. And he has given me one of the key insights saying that it depends upon the scenario or the situation. Sometimes 70% he become a peacock. And if demanded, then he will become an eagle. 30% he will become eagle. That was very insightful. I learned as upcoming guy. And from Indrapal ji's thing, okay, the good one, the insight which I took from Indrapal ji's conversation was, okay, again here, okay, when you grow up, maybe Indrapalji has rightly pointed out, earlier I was a dictator, that is, I was an eagle. Now, as the age grows up based on the scenarios and the situations, now I become an owl. Okay, it was a beautiful takeaway for me as a youngster, which as an upcoming guy in the L&D roles. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Naveen. Thanks for adding on. Yeah, Arun, you have raised your hand. You can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. So in our group, we had Shankar, we had Chintanoja, and we had Ajay and myself. Well, Ajay decided to become eagle, and he was flying so high in the sky that we just could not communicate with him. So this is my assumption that he decided to become eagle because we could not just talk to him. Rest three of us, Shankar, Chintan, Deepa, and me, we decided to become a magical bird. And this magical bird, what does that I'm a peacock, and then after some time I decide to become eagle, and then I decide. So we kept on changing our selection depending upon the situation and the context. So the common discussion with all of us was this, that it all depends on the situation, it all depends on the context. The same person at one point of time could be one of the bird, and at some other point can shift to some other choice. Similarly, in one context, so we were talking about that, let's say two of us are talking and the boss arrives, suddenly our choice of which bird you are will change. So that is what came out as a common thought in our group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Arun. Yeah, Jagmohan, you want to add something? You're on mute.
Yeah, I just remember somebody mentioned in the group, I think Indraji mentioned, that one thing is very common with all the people sitting in this group also and everywhere, all the men at home are dove.
Okay. Okay, so who is left, Kala? Any
Yes,
other?
Murli has raised his hand. Yes, Murli.
I also would like to, yeah, sorry.
Yes, yes, Shilpa. So after Murli, can we take Shilpa?
Sure,
Is that
sure,
okay?
sure.
Yes, Murli.
Hi, good evening.
Good
So,
evening.
at the first instance, it was very difficult to choose. Okay, that was the first experience I had. Peacock or owl. I saw. Then I told because I could see I'm there in a peacock. Also, I am also there in owl. So depends upon the situation. But yeah, there is a mixture of both peacock and owl in me. So that's how it came to me. But it was in first instance, it was very difficult to choose. Then I got myself into that. Okay, I could see. So let me share that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Murli. Thanks for sharing.
Yes,
So
Shilpa. Yeah, 1 minute. Prasham, we had Shilpa also.
Okay, thank you, Kala. So while we were discussing in our group, none of us actually thought about an eagle, the traits of an eagle being in ourselves. We were like, there are peacock, like most of us were all peacock. Some of us were like an owl, and there was one person who also resembled a dove's character. But now when I hear all this discussion going around, I see whenever there's a conflict, I think the eagle trait of me would be probably coming out first. So I just wanted to share that learning that I had from this session right now, because it's not like, what do you think you are? It's probably, when somebody makes you realize, okay, this is this kind of a situation you're putting, which trait of yours probably come out first.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that so candidly, Shilpa. Really appreciate that. Yeah. Yes, Sham. Over to you.
Thank you, Shilpa, for sharing. And
yeah, Rama here.
Yes,
yeah,
Rama.
Rama, go.
Yeah. So in our group, we have 2 doves and one owl, and one eagle was flying on a very high note, so the signal was not there, so could not connect it well. Okay, but because of that, 2 doves are there, the peace loving. And it is the discussion as went on, getting to know more each about that. And one of that participant in my group is Mr. Apaji, and me and Apaji was friends for a quite long period. The friendship is more than 25 years. So we don't have much to talk each other, but we have got a nice person, Sushant, with us. So it's all together from a different sector of work. So we both were chatting with Sushant, and the discussion was going on in that way in our chat room.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
So it's interesting to see the different insights that the group members have got from various different conversations. And let's take it to our next level. How do you think this exercise helps us as learners in an online space? What benefit do you think it adds, apart from being an icebreaker, as one of you rightly mentioned? How do you think this activity or this exercise helps us as learners and you as trainers and facilitators in an online facilitation? How do you think this activity helps us?
Yeah, Apaji this side.
Yeah, Apaji, go ahead.
I felt that in just few moments, we could able to connect with all so well that we are not finding that, no, we are connecting it for the first time. So we could able to create a very friendly environment and getting a feeling that we know each other. So it's like, no, we are getting the feeling that we are in a classroom face to face. So this activity definitely breaks that xylos. I am sitting in one corner. We are getting a feeling because we are using our cameras, talking about drawing the bird along with everyone and talking about ourselves. So within hardly in 5-7 minutes, now we feel that we are connected with each one for quite some time. So it breaks that, what you call the barriers of newness or the barriers of participation. And this invites everyone to participate well. It's a fantastic exercise.
Thank you, Apaji. I think you really got the debrief which I was about to share a couple of minutes ahead. So thank you so much for bringing out that point. Any other inputs, friends, that do you think this activity helps us?
Can I say something?
Yeah, Shankar, please.
I do agree with whatever he said about participation along with other people. I would say the greatest takeaway from this is self-introspection, to analyze yourself and try to compare it with whatever are the norms which are being proposed to you, and match it, and then see what kind of person you really are. That's what I think is a better take away from this.
Thank you so much, Shankar. That was my second debrief, which you actually covered. Very good. Thank you so much for adding that introspection and reflection point of view. Yeah, Arun, go ahead.
Shyam, it's Kaushik here.
Yeah, Kaushik.
So I think one of the best learning from this exercise was people learn well when they are able to correlate with something. In fact, this was just an icebreaker where people tend to loosen themselves, get to know each other. But even when we talk about newer concepts and all, and if we are able to correlate like simple things like birds or some animals, and then you bring in those concepts, I think it becomes easier for people to learn, and more importantly, retain those learnings for a longer duration. Like some personality, I never, in fact, frankly speaking, I have never thought about so many characteristics of a dove or an owl. Oh, an owl has so many characteristics. But now when I'm relating a personality type, then I see, yeah, this is how, or this is what the owl resembles. So I think people tend to learn better and more, and also retain those learnings better. So I think that's something very, very important from learner's perspective.
Thank you. Thank you, Kaushik, for adding that point.
Yeah,
Arun.
can I say something?
Can we have Arun because he had
Raised his
raised his hand, and then we can go to Indrapalji? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes, Arun, go ahead.
Okay, first point is covered, introspection. The second point is that I have observed webinars mostly being one way, kind of. So what I observed in so many webinars is that there is a presenter, there is a PowerPoint, and because you share the screen, the larger area is covered by the speaker, by the PowerPoint, and very small window for the enabler. And then the maximum interaction that happens is in the chat box. That also the participants type in the chat box and the enabler is able to verbally respond to them. It's a very minimal kind of communication. And here we can see that a lot of interaction took place. Another aspect which I liked was that it helps me adapt to the new situations. For example, when you said that which bird are you? I was not willing to accept any of them. I said, I'm human. Why should I become a bird? Right? But then I said, okay, let me be flexible. I can't resist it because it's a classroom situation. You have given me a role. So I have to take that role. So I kept my resistance aside of not becoming any of the bird. I said, okay, I will become one of the bird. No problem. So I could adopt to the new situation. And then while doing that, I have to think about that which one resonates best. 100% none of them, but at least to some extent, which one. And that's how it made me a little bit more flexible. That's what.
Thank you. Thank you, Arun, for sharing that point and being vulnerable in also admitting the point that there was a resistance. Thank you.
Yeah, can I?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I just thought that this kind of introspection can lead to shift in your leadership style, in the sense that as we move along in the organizations, instead of being eagle, typical managers are eagles, dictator, they want their things done their way, etc. But if you become an owl, you look for more evidence-based decision making and look for facts, etc. You can have more participative way where you try and improve the process by which the work is done, rather than hold people responsible for any faults, etc., that they come. So in a at a very broad level, it is a shift from the Taylorism or the American way to manage to the Japanese way. In the American way, that the boss is right. Here it is the fact-based. Nobody is right and wrong. What is the right thing to do is what are the facts and what is the evidence. So it's a pretty important shift one can make in one's way at looking at one's leadership style. I think that struck me, as an adjunct of the other points people mentioned.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think we have used this activity exactly for some of our recent leadership workshops. And this was like a self-assessment and kind of an activity. So it really brought on the fact which you're making it. So it's a very, very valid point.
I have one more point.
Yeah, Jagmohan.
People were proudly saying, I'm an owl.
That's an interesting insight, though, you know. I mean,
No, so that is why they're not saying it in Hindi and they're saying it in English.
okay, so
I'll just share my screen, Shram, so we can
yeah,
take
just
this
a moment.
further.
I'll just close this debrief and then we
Sure,
go on to this
sure.
next slide. So thank you so much for your insights, friends. There were three advantages of doing this kind of a check-in activity. We call it as a check-in activity. Two have been already identified by you all in your debrief. So I'll repeat the 3 points. So first one is it allows the participants to introspect and reflect. That's a very, very important point as learners, because what's in it for me? What is it that I am? You know, you are putting yourself in a thinking hat. You are putting yourself in the thinking cap. No one is doing it for you. Very important point as learners, and more important in an online space, because you really can't know what the other person is doing. Your activity should make the other person think and reflect and introspect. Second very important point is it allows introverts in the classroom or in an online space to open up and speak. Otherwise, most of the times you see extroverts talking. This allows the space for the introverts to also speak up conveniently, comfortably. And third, and the most important point, you can actually link this process to the training session or the content that you're going to talk next, so that it allows you a smooth takeoff or a smooth landing, because you are not doing an energizer or an icebreaker which is out of context. You are doing an energizer or an icebreaking which is related to the training subject or a training content. So that brings in a greater amount of participation. It allows people to express themselves freely, and it sets a starter conversation. As you saw, people openly start talking about that. And here is where we come to the 3 C's of virtual engagement. Kala, if you can go to the slide, please.
Yes, sure.
While she's doing that, if I might just add, it also helps break the stereotype, because after listening to everybody, I think more people will be proud of saying owl, because for us, when you say owl, the normal connotation is to ullu hai. And I think all of us look at ullu as a very derogatory term.
True.
That was something that struck me. I thought I would share.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
And that's the power of charm.
Okay, so jokes apart, so 3 C's of virtual engagement. The first C is the comfort. I think Appaji rightly mentioned about we felt like we knew each other for some time. He mentioned that we felt like close family. He mentioned that there was a comfort level. So the first C in a virtual engagement space is comfort, where you're creating a psychological safety so participants can relax and focus better. What kind of an engaging activity, learning activity you're using so that you let your participants be comfortable? That's number one. Number two, after participants are getting comfortable, then comes the context. Ensure everyone is aligned with the purpose and objectives of the session. What is this workshop all about? What is it that I'm going to get? What is in it for me? What are the top 2 things that we're going to take away from here or learn from here? What are my role? What am I supposed to do? You know, all that context setting is very, very clear and important. Once the context setting is done, then comes your last C. That's the content. Ensure your program design, ensure your instructional design has the relevant activities and processes which are facilitative in nature, which can co-create the content and ensure the learners are in a happy learning mode. If you are able to do all the 3 C's in equal proportion, that's when you are able to evoke and provoke the learner mindset and have a greater amount of virtual engagement. That's what we have experienced and we have been seeing in all the work that we have been doing. Yeah. So I'll take a pause. If there are any questions on any of the C's, you can unmute and ask me, or else if you're good to go, give me a thumbs up. I will go to the next Vela activity.
Could I just add one thing, and maybe Sham and Kala, you can answer a little later also as you proceed, is that, you know, of course, the breakout room is sometimes not all that great an experience in, say, a Cisco WebEx, which is the other format, you know, that a lot of corporates are using.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on, you know, I mean, maybe this itself could get modified and we can do it differently in a Cisco WebEx format. But yeah, I mean, Zoom is,
that Pani bottle, beta.
you know, Zoom is really very intuitive, very good. Sometimes we don't get that kind of experience in a WebEx. Is there any thought, any idea, any tip of how do you make this happen even in a Cisco WebEx format?
Can I answer that, Sham? Is it okay?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
See, this is out of experience that I'm sharing, Vaijayanti. Thank you for this question. So we have seen that whenever you're asking people to draw, so whether it is bird or you draw how you're feeling, when they're drawing, even if you make them talk about it, hear voices, it gets the same camaraderie. Because what is happening is this, because this is what they have created. So they would want to speak about it, right? So breakout room, yes, gives that intimate space for conversations. But if not, you can also hear voices and you get the same thing. So you ask people to put it up on chat, people to speak. It does that. And I'm telling this by experience because I have done this exercise on Google Meet for 150 people together.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
So that's the space I'm coming from.
All right.
So for 150 people on Google Meet, this is one tested thing that if you have that kinesthetic effect on them, just not think, you know, make them do something. So even if you're asking a simple question of how you're feeling, just tell them to draw an emoji. Okay. The effect is really very drastic because when you're telling them, okay, how you feeling right now? What word comes is good, happy. These are the two things that come up. But when you're drawing something and you have to speak about it, you know, you go deeper because you have to think, what is it exactly I'm feeling about? So the kinesthetic part, which is missing in the virtual space, you know, if you tell them to do something, that gets into an effect, even if you don't have breakout rooms, but just ask them to share. And the sharing is very rich.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So let's go to the next one.
Yes. So this is our third Vela, the 4 questions. And now I'm going to stop sharing this. So most of our trainers and facilitator friends over here, we use a lot of storytelling. We use caselets, right, for the training topics that we do. Now, 4 questions is a variation of how you can use storytelling, right? So I'm going to be telling you a story. Okay, so enjoy the story and then let's see what it's up for us. The story goes here. I'm a solo trainer in a large company with 9 field offices. Top leaders and their finances figured out that the travel costs for a training were the major expense. They decided to save money by asking me to use the company's virtual platform. They figured out that I should have no problem shifting to this new training technique. I started offering my sessions as live online training sessions. I had no difficulty exporting my PowerPoint slides and sending out my handouts as PDF documents. All the training content was there, but the classes did not click. Something was missing. A couple of weeks later, I attended a workshop about storytelling. I discovered the secret. Stories are the operating system of the human brain. All I have to do is use a lot of stories. I decided to be a storyteller. My participants were engaged throughout my story-based sessions. They frequently clicked on icons of clapping hands and smiling faces to cheer me on. After the live online training, I sent out a feedback questionnaire. Almost everyone gave me a 5 for interest and inspiration. I had included an open-ended question about what was most memorable about my online sessions. It was the stories, of course. I should not have pushed my luck, but Ram, a student from the local university, wanted to do an evaluation project for instructional technology course he was taking. I invited him to evaluate my online trainings. He interviewed several participants over the telephone. A month later, he prepared a report for his professor. He gave me a copy. The report had good news and bad news. The good news confirmed the positive feedback I received. The bad news? The participants remembered the stories, but not the learning points. They told the stories to their colleagues, but did not apply the new skills they were supposed to learn. The bottom line? My stories mesmerized the participants in a blissful trance, but did not teach them anything useful or usable. The data of the report did not shake my belief in the power of stories. Fortunately, I read some stuff on Go Live virtual facilitating program that uses online learning activities and attended it to change my strategy. Now in my online sessions, I invite participants to make up their own stories. The settings of the stories are their job situations, the time span is the near future. I encourage them to make the stories authentic. I tell them to share the stories with each other. Sometimes I tell my own stories. I keep the participants busy, typing feverishly in chatting, creating, completing, analyzing, and modifying the stories. But all this while, I keep my mouth shut for most of the time. So thank you, friends, for patiently hearing to my story. Okay, can I request you all to come on cameras, please? Because now the process would start. Thank you. So now let us take a poll. Okay, so you will have to show one finger like this if you think that the story is a true story. 2 fingers denotes that it is a complete fake story. It's a made up story. And 3 fingers denotes that it is partially true or partially fake or a made up story. Okay, so on the count of 3, select which one do you think the story that I recited was that. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can see. Okay.
So I see a majority of 1.
No, on the second screen there are 3, Sham.
Oh, okay.
There are 3s also. So yeah, 3 and 1. Yeah. Okay. The right answer is 3. It's a partially true and a partially fictional story. Okay. In the chat, what I request you to do is write down the title for this story. Kindly put down in the chat in the next 30 seconds a title for this story. Very interesting answers coming up. The power of storytelling, storyteller's dilemma, power of storytelling, paradigm shift. Is storytelling effective? Is storytelling effective training tool? Okay, how to be realistic, engage, and inspire. Waiting for a few more answers. Learning through storytelling. Interesting. Thank you for sharing. कहानी एक ट्रेनर की. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the third question.
Their story, their learning.
Their story, their learnings. Okay, thank you for adding that. Thank you for adding that. Story bars, also something that's come up. Okay, great. Now the third question for this process is, what is your learning point from this story? Please put down that in the chat. What is your learning point from the story that you heard? What is the learning point from the story that you just heard?
Good evening, everyone. So,
Hi, Chitra.
Yeah, hello. So my takeaway would be that so many a times we are under
1
the.
minute, Chitra. Can you just put that in the chat and then we'll have a conversation?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes.
Thank you. Balance all techniques. It engages the audience for some time. Connect every story with a message and emphasize. Okay. Some more answers. Engage participant. Okay, and you only facilitate. Thank you. We need to strike a balance. Interesting, interesting. Entertain but not be effective. Okay, that's interesting. Balancing. Great. Very nice. And now we are moving on to the next step, that is 4 questions. So the 4th question would be, okay, we have one more answer that's come up. Keep the story related to the content. Okay, story may be interesting but not great. Tool, it might be now. Oh, interesting. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Chitra. Great. Now the fourth question is, what is the application? How would you apply this in the workspace that you have, that you are in? So that would be in the chat. I'm not going to be asking you to put that in the chat, but the fourth question would be the application of ideas, right? So this is a variation of storytelling where we ask people, the first question is about the poll to find out whether it's a true story or false story or a mix of that. The second would be asking them to give it a title. The third one would be asking them the learning point, and the fourth is the application in their workspace. So the fourth step, since we are all trainers here learning it, I'm not asking you to write, but you can ask this to your learners. So again, the stories, you can create your own story depending on what is the learning point you want your learners to derive from. What is the topic of training?
Yeah, can you repeat those 4 questions again? One
Yes,
you said
please.
is
One is a poll.
Uh-huh.
One is a poll. The second one is the title. Ask them to give a title. The third one is, what is the learning point? What is the learning point? And the fourth one is the application of the idea.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for putting that application. Yeah, for here, thank you for writing down the application. This was on communication. Yeah, so a very good application has come on the chat, how to communicate with customer for new products. Yeah, sure. So you can change the story. You can even have a case study or a case-led and ask them about all those things. So this is a variation in your storytelling process, So we're just not telling a story, but asking people to think. So yes, Shyam, you would want to add anything to this, please?
Yeah, just a couple of points. What normally you see when we want participants to introspect and reflect is by these 4 questions, you are actually getting their interest and kind of funneling from question 1, question 2, question 3 to question 4. And when you are doing this with your real life audience, with the real life participants on a topic of, say, trust, leadership, something that is common for the group, you will see interesting insights that comes up. And those insights are something that's their current reality. That's not assumptions. That's something that they are living with that. So the choice of story that you're using mixed with how you're positioning over there brings out a rich harvest of learning points. And that's where you as facilitator trainer can drive home the point of application in terms of how can you use these action steps moving forward. What are some of the things that we can start, or what is some of the things that we can stop, and have a heavy, healthy conversation moving around that particular topic. Yeah, Vaijayanti, thank you for that. It's a great way. Yeah, abstract concepts alive. Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I make a point?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, but my point is that I think trainers must understand as to how adults learn, basically.
Yeah.
And therefore, any one particular vehicle, if it is overused, like for example, she mentioned in the story, people remember the stories but not the learning.
Yeah.
And if you have only learning and not any stories, so interest wanes. So kind of striking a balance and ultimately coming back to, like you said, in some sort of a funnel approach, that at the bottom there should be application orientation, how they're going to use the story or learnings in their work situation or classroom or wherever, and to apply the concepts learned. So I think this sort of clear focus comes out from this exercise.
Yeah.
Probably. That unless it's interesting, people don't learn. But if you make it too interesting, then people forget the lesson and so on.
And also what we have seen is usually after storytelling, if we directly jump onto what is the application of, your learning from the story, it becomes people are like just lost because they're still into that story. So the creativity is still there. So we're just channeling it down, getting them down by telling them, so telling them to just think, and then go to the title and then go to the application. So it just gets them down to the reality level, so that this process does that too. Thank you. And since any more questions, or can we move further? Okay, I see no questions. And so again, I would request everyone to be on camera because this is a camera game. So I would request everyone in camera. It's a very simple game, but it's a very powerful game. So everyone on camera. As kids, we have played this game. Okay, as kids, we have played this game. Request everyone to be on camera because then that's the fun, because we are so many, so people can play with us. Great. Thank you for accepting the invitation to come on camera. So this is a very simple game. You must have heard about rock, paper, scissors, correct? So this is rock, this is paper, and this is scissor. Rock, paper, scissor, right? I hope you know that the rock is powerful than the scissor. The paper is powerful than the rock. Correct? And what else? Yeah, the scissor is powerful than the paper. Yeah, so these are some of the things. Now, how do we play this game? When I say rock, paper, scissor, you have to select whatever you are, rock, paper, scissor, and you have to select anyone you're playing against who you can see on the screen. You do not have to tell me who is it, right? You do not have to tell me who you're playing against, but you have to keep in mind, if you think you have lost, kindly go off camera. If you think that you have lost against the person, kindly go off camera. Okay, so Preeti, it's okay if you're not able to be there, so we will not be playing with you. Sorry about that. So whoever is on camera, whoever you see on the screen, you do not have to tell against whom you're playing. Okay, are the instructions clear? Can we go ahead? Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So you have to, the instruction is whoever you see on the screen, you pick up a person to play. The person need not know you're playing against him or her, right? But if you think you have lost, kindly go off camera. Right? So let's see. So should we have one trial round first?
So what if I feel that I have won and the person I'm assuming to play with has lost but doesn't switch off the camera?
But he's not playing. No, but Chitra is not playing against you. He's playing.
Yeah.
He or she is playing against someone else.
So till we don't lose against someone,
yes, you are still playing. You're still playing.
Got it.
Okay, so it's only for you.
Just one more question, Kala.
Yes.
So suppose the opposite person has lost according to me, so I can go to the next person, or I have to start. I have to continue with that person.
No, you have to every round. You have the freedom to play with anyone.
Okay.
You can play with anyone on the screen, so it's not necessary you're playing with one person only. Okay, thank you for getting that point out. Okay, so let's play now. No trial round. Okay, it's too many questions now. Let's play. Okay, Vaijanti is asking me something, but I can't hear you, Vaijanti. We still can't hear you. Let's play. Let's see how. Just experience the game. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Was this a trial run? I don't see anyone going off camera. Okay, let's play. Now the real game starts. Let's start. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, interesting. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Okay, no one is still lost in this frame. Now I have only a few people left on my frame. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Shashant, are you playing? शशांत जी आप खेल रहे हैं गेम, लेकिन हम नहीं देख पा रहे हैं आप रॉक पेपर सीजर्स क्या कर रहे हैं सर. लोगों को दिखेगा नहीं तो खेलेंगे कैसे? So kindly invitation to the group is to show it in the camera, right? Okay, let's start again. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, interesting. This game is getting interesting. Okay, not last time. I need a winner. Rock, paper, scissors.
Can I take the pens now?
No, I need
Okay.
red. 1 minute.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Interesting group. Okay, we've got some people out. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Interesting to see. Okay. So Indrapal ji, we have Naveen and Deepak ji. Get ready. Rock, paper, scissors. Acha, Indrapal ji is not playing. Okay. So who won? Okay, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3. Rock, paper. Deepak ji, once again. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. Last time. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. So Naveen, you have to go off camera. So Deepak ji won. So big round of applause for Deepak ji.
Deepak is the winner of Rock, Paper, Scissors.
Yes. Thank you, friends, for playing this. It's a very interesting game. Though it looks very simple, a lot of things can be bought about. So what do you think is the insight of playing this game? What is it? What insights can be bought about from this game?
Even though no one is watching you, you have to be true to yourself. I mean, integrity.
Yes, integrity. Yeah. A lot about values. Yeah, thank you.
Accountability.
Yes, accountability. Yes, very true. Very true. So when we are doing a very powerful session on values, how can you make it more playful? Right? Just by playing something like this. Right? And then you can just go on debriefing it how you want to. Just ask people to talk about it. Yeah. So thank you all the participants for playing this game. Thank you. Yeah. Moving on to the next one. Sham, over to you.
After an interesting game, let's now.
So that was the fourth Vela, stone, paper, scissors. Moving on to the fifth one.
Now we are going to talk about a very, very beautiful, interesting process called graphic metaphor. And we will play this and then I will debrief as we move on. I'm going to show you 4 images on the screen. I want you all to pay very close attention and see what image resonates with you at this point in time. Yeah. So the first image that comes on your screen is this one. Just pay attention to what do you see in this image. Let's see the second image. Let's go to the third image. And let's go to the last one. Okay. Now, let's assume we are all part of a same organization. Assume we are all leadership team of one organization. And we have all assembled here for a session on trust. Yeah, assume we are all assembled here for a session on trust. And we are going to have a session which is going to be facilitated, which means we are not going to give you content. The content is going to be generated from the participants, right? So now keeping this in mind, if the training subject is trust, I would like you to revisit again which image resonates with you when you think of trust. Now let's revisit the image again. Is it the table talk that resonates trust for you? Is it gears that resonates trust for you? Is it haircut that resonates trust for you? Or is it keyboard that resonates trust for you? Take about 30 seconds to identify which of these 4 images resonates what's trust for you, and then we are going to go in for a poll.
So for the poll, I have put the Mentimeter link. Okay, so whichever picture you think you resonate, kindly go on Menti. I have put the link, so kindly click on that and kindly poll which resonates to you as trust. We have only 8 participants who voted and we have around 27. You have 30 seconds to vote. I hope you were able to go on the Menti. There's a tie between Table Talk. Oh no, Table Talk is winning. I request you to put it on the Menti rather than putting on the chat, please? That would really help. For any reason, if you cannot get on the Menti, please unmute yourself and do let me know. I can help you out. Interesting, Sham. This group is, this is very interesting poll. So we have 14 people who answered. Sham, should I stop the poll?
Yeah, I think for the
How do I get into Menti?
So there is a link given on the chat, sir. Are you able to get onto the link?
Yeah, Sushant, you have raised your hand. Go ahead. Is there a question you want to ask?
No.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
Fine. So for the process, Sham, I think we should go forward.
Yeah, let's move forward with the process because we have got the clear winner, and the group 7 of us identify table talk that represents trust for us. Yeah, so can you go off the Menti, please? So thank you, friends, for choosing the poll for us. Very interesting to see the group has identified the first image, table talk, as what trust means to us. Now we are going to find out connections between the image that we saw, that is a table talk, and trust. So in the next 1 minute, in the chat box, what is the connection between trust and table talk? What are the similarities? When you see a trust, what does it come to your mind with reference to table talks? I would request you all to put it on the chat in the next 1 minute. What does trust means to you in the context of table talk?
Sham, only those people need to answer who
No,
have
no, this
selected
is
table talk
no,
or for
everyone.
This is not for everybody in the group.
Okay.
The group has selected table talk as a metaphor for trust.
So share the list of connections between the photograph and the training topic. Okay, so we have responses. If the table talk is harmonious, I develop the trust. All have a voice and their thoughts. Open conversation. You trust the people whom you trust and believe what they say. People share views with whom they trust, as seen in table talk. Trust is between people, and so the interpersonal dynamics are important. Only if I trust the people sitting across the desk in the meeting, I'll be able to put forth my insight. Trust can be
No,
developed
it
on
says
table
that
talk.
26 November it's expiring.
People, lots of
Which
sharing.
code is your put you're saying?
Lots of sharing happens with an expectation that it is between us. Mutual respect, open conversation, heart-to-heart conversation, their body language, practical, transparent and open conversations. Cool, great. I think we are able to see a lot of great connections between the image table talk that we identified and also with the subject trust. Builds relationships, practical, the body language, transparent and open conversations. Superb. Well, great. So we have got a lot of insights. We have got a lot of points when it means trust with respect to table talk. Now let us do another variation and move forward to the next process.
So Sham, would you want to talk about the graphical metaphor and then move on to the next one, or are you going to debrief both of them
I'll
together?
debrief both together.
Sure. So now what do you want me to share?
No, don't share anything. Sure. So now we have identified and understood what trust means to us. And if I were to pick up the key words, Arun, could you help me be my chat monitor and read the chat, what has come up, and tell me 3 key words that you see what people are talking about trust.
In the already shared thing?
Yeah. If you can just scan the people, what they've written. What are the 3 keywords that is emerging for you as trust?
Transparent and open conversation.
Okay.
Body language.
Okay.
Mutual respect.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arun, for doing that. May I invite, is Chitra there? Chitra Kampani?
Sir,
yes.
there, but I don't. log out and my
Her internet is not so strong, I guess.
Oh, okay, okay. Fair enough. Let me see who I can identify as volunteer. Okay, so Apache, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so apart from the 3 points that was shared by Arun, what other 2 points do you see in the chat that has come when it comes to trust that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, one point is that people sit across and talk only if they trust each other.
Okay. And another one?
This one more point comes out that trust can be developed when you sit across and talk.
Okay, sit across and thank you so much. Do we have Jitendra? Jitendra, are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm there.
Jitendra, one point which is not been covered by Arun and Apaji in the chat that you want to identify as connections, keywords.
Just give me a minute. I'll just scan through all the chat.
Yeah, please. We have 5 points. I'm looking at one more point.
If one point which is mentioned by Arun is only if the table talk is harmonious, then there is a possibility of development of trust. So the table talk can be and can result into trust, but only if it is harmonious talk.
Okay. Thank you, Jitendra, for that. So 6 points I have noted down by the group when it comes to trust. Transparent and open communication, body language, mutual respect. We talk across only if there is a trust. We sit across and talk. It can develop trust, nurture trust. And last point, table talk, if it is harmonious, then it builds trust. Thank you so much for adding the points on trust, which are key critical elements for trust. Now let us move forward and identify how we can select a random word and do a forced connection to the topic that you want to talk about. Now with the same topic, that is trust, let us use a random word. Now for the sake of example, we just polled the recent one and we got the highest vote for table talk. What was the least vote was for gears, if I'm not wrong.
No, keyboard, 0.
Keyboard.
Yeah, 0.
Keyboard got 0 votes, right? Okay. So now what I want you all to do is, in the next 1 minute, I want you all to connect to the image of keyword and trust and identify what does trust mean to you.
Right. So what you're saying is, to the least voted item, which is keyboard, we have to try and relate it to trust.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, Jitendra. So identify what are the forced connections between keyboard and how do you relate to trust, and put it on the chat. It has to be trust. We are talking on the subject trust. Okay, so we have hackers respect privacy.
Sending directives by mail reduces trust in team leaders. Thank you, Vaijanti, for writing that. Trust the keypad. Waiting for some more answers.
You may like to think out of the box and see what's the connection between keyboard and trust.
Keyboard indicates input. Input means how you behave, will determine the level of trust. Thank you, Jitendra, for that. imagining keyboard suddenly creating problem in between an online exam. Trust your keyboard. F2. Interesting. You hold the keys to trust. Thank you, Vajanti, for that.
We'll spend a minute more and invite others to
Yes,
put as
keyboard
many.
converts our thoughts into communication. Keyboard is a metaphor for your behavior. Very interesting answers. One way of expressing. Okay.
Okay, we'll take another 30 seconds. If you have anything else to add, please put it on the chat. Keyboard reflects the true image of the user. Okay. So thank you so much for adding on your points with keyboard and trust. Is Murli there?
He just entered the room because of internet shop.
Okay. Everything in black and white. Everything you type need to reflect your integrity. Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, Murli is there. Yeah.
Murli, could you see the new insights which has come with the help keyboard and trust? Can you go through that points on the chat and tell us, is there a difference that you see in the insights that has come with keyboard vis-a-vis your earlier?
Sham, I think Murli won't be able to do justice because he just logged in and I think again he's off because he will not have the earlier mail because I just admitted him. Right. So can I request you to have another volunteer who was in the session? That would be better, I guess.
I just moved out and moved in. Yeah.
Yes. So he's logged. He doesn't have the chat. Yeah. He doesn't have the chat.
Fair enough. So Jagmohan, are you there?
Hi, sir.
Hi. Jagmohan, I would request you to go through the chat points which has come for keyboard, and I want you all to just go through the points and see vis-a-vis our earlier points when we were talking about table talk and the points that came vis-a-vis what people are saying with keyboard and trust. Are there some 2 or 3 different insights that you're able to identify what people are trying to communicate with respect to trust?
Yes. There are 2 kinds of themes which are coming. One is that, that maybe it is about hacking, which is, taking it away from the trust. But at the same time, there are messages coming out that, for example, keyboard reflects the true image of the user. Okay. And also keyboard converts our thoughts into communication. So you hold the keys to trust. So these are not saying that it is not trustworthy.
Okay. Thank you, Jagmohan. Thanks for that. Is Vajanti there? Vajanti, would you like to add any 2 more points when you see the responses that has come with respect to keyboard, and what are the insights with respect to trust that you can identify from the chats?
Vajanti, we still can't hear you. Have you checked in your audio, please? Sham, I think we'll have to have another volunteer, please. Can we request Shilpa? Shilpa, are you there?
Yeah, Kala. There.
Yes, please. Yeah. So Sham, would you ask her what needs to be done? Sorry, Vajanti, about that.
So Shilpa, going through the chat on keyboard, are there any 2 insights on trust that you can associate with?
Yeah, sure. So one is that keyboard reflects the true image of the user.
Okay.
Other one is the integrity part of it.
Integrity part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much, friends.
Can I add a point, please? Yeah.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. I thought that keyboard is a symbol of empowerment.
Okay.
And it signifies trusting someone to do the right thing.
Symbol of empowerment and signifies, absolutely. Thank you so much for adding that point. So then later on, you kind of compare the points which has come in the earlier process, that is the graphic metaphor, that is with respect to the table talk, and compare with the responses that has come with the least voted one, which is a forced connection. In this case, it is a keyboard for us. And if you see, the second one was forcing you to go out of your box to kind of connect with something which had got the least number of votes and identify it with a common topic. So this actually allows the participants to move out of their comfort zone, so-called, and think out of the box, think random, and connect to the subject that you want to introduce or talk about the topic. So in this case, if I were to summarize, I'm not doing it now because of paucity of time, but if this would have been a real life session where we are talking about trust with real life audience, I would have summarized it with the 6-8 points that I've identified from that group. And then from there, I would have taken to the next level of saying, how do we see in the groups or in teams what needs to be done for trust building or trustworthiness, so on and so forth. So the group has come up with the content, the group has harvested on the inputs, which is very important for them, and you build on from there on.
Just adding on to what just Shyam said, here you experience two processes. The first one was the graphical metaphors, where it can be done as a standalone itself, where you give pictures and ask people to pick up any image that resonates with the training topic. So there it ends and then you build it up. The second is called force connections. So once people have selected their main point, how we took you through, then you ask them about the least voted one. So you do not have a connection, but you're trying to build. So force connection is a mixture or an addition to graphical metaphors. So graphical metaphors itself can be a standalone, but force connection needs to be done with graphical metaphors. So it is a step beyond, a deeper process, right?
Thank you, Kala, for adding that. And we have seen in organizations where we have used, apart from training programs, this can be a great tool for your brainstorming sessions also. So you can actually use this very, very powerfully for your brainstorming. Graphical metaphor you can also use at the beginning of the session as a check-in. You can also use graphical metaphor towards the end of the session as a closure. So it depends how you want to position and where you want to position that.
Also, something else Shyam used as a process is to read the chat and make meaning out of it. He asked for volunteers. So though we read the chat, the meaning of the whole chat, the summarization or the convergence, as we said, was done by the participants. So the onus of the understanding of the material was done by participants. Right. So this is another way of engagement. So even if you do not have the liberty of a breakout room, how even using chat you can have these engagement principles. So this is one more way that he used for engagement. So just let me share my screen again. So we went through graphical metaphors, then we went to forced connections. Any questions on this, or can we move on to the last, since we are nearing to the end, our last Vela? Any questions? Okay, let's move to artful closer. We started with art, so we will end with art as well. Right? So what I would request you all to do, I hope you have your pen and paper still there with you. The request is to draw 3 insights of this Vela webinar. 3 insights from what you gained out of this Vela webinar. No using words, only pictures. Draw 3 insights that you gained from this Vela webinar. You have around 30 seconds to do it. And if you're ready, a thumbs up or a yes on the chat will help us know that we can go further. So are we ready? Okay. Yeah. Kaushik, can I invite you to come on camera, please? The process is you will have to show your drawings to the people, to our group, and the group is going to guess what is your insight. Okay, and whoever is guessing will get 3 chances to guess. And then you have to say whether that was the right insight you had. So I'm putting you on spotlight. Can you show us what you drew so that we can guess what were your insights? Can you just take it a little back? We can't see it. Can you just put it a little more near the camera, please?
My drawing is pathetic.
That is okay. We are not judging. Well, we are going to. Okay, interesting. Now, who would want to guess what is Kaushik's insight?
Is he talking about that I can ask a lot of questions in presentation?
Sorry, Jagmohan, can you be louder? We lost some. We have background sound. Keep the drawings, Kaushik. Yeah, keep that drawing for us. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the question mark symbolizes that you should ask yourself a lot of questions before you are going and conducting online sessions, that how you are going to engage the participants and what could be the outcomes you are expecting by doing out of that.
Okay, so I hear you say asking a lot of questions to self. Okay. What else?
My understanding is what he meant is that show a activity, the first one, then ask questions.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay, Kaushik, how close or far are we from your insights?
Very far.
Very far. Okay. So what are your insights, sir?
The insights are actually the question mark represents the 4 questions technique, which we learned.
Okay.
The bird, which doesn't look like a bird, but anyway, try to draw that. That is again looking like which bird are you, that activity, which was really, really useful. And the third insight for me was the use of graphical metaphor, because that I think for heavy technical sessions, like where we are into pharma, so we do a lot of product related training, scientific trainings and all. So these heavy technical trainings can be used through that through this graphical metaphor technique. So I think these were 3 key learnings and insights for me.
Yes. Kaushik, since you volunteered, I request you to tag someone who will show their drawings to us. Whoever you see on your screen, and remove the spotlight so you can see everyone. Okay, so now you can see everyone. Yeah. Whom do you want to?
Can I request Jagmohan Rishi?
Okay, Jagmohan.
I was avoiding eye contact with him.
Even in classrooms, even in virtual. Okay.
Yes.
So can we see your drawing and we are going to guess it? Okay. Okay. Who wants to guess? What was Jagmohan's insight for today?
Probably that second image shows a lot of excitement, and which means you have to continuously bringing that excitement in your session. That's what I think.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. You want to? Anyone else wants to give it a try?
Yeah, I think he liked the Kala's smile, so he has painted that.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
May I?
Yes, please.
So Jagmohan says he enjoyed the interaction with each other and therefore is smiling, and he's inviting everybody for a bhangra this evening.
Okay, interesting. Thank you for that. So yes, Jagmohan, tell me how close or far we are from your insights.
Professor Mani knows me in and out, So definitely you're all welcome for Bhangra here. But it's pretty close because I really enjoyed the session, number 1. And number 2 is the high energy levels of Bhangra were maintained in this particular session of Vela also. And of course, it talks about that in these sessions lead to collaboration.
Yes, thank you so much. So whom do you tag? Since we have very less time, I would request more 2 voices and then we'll just debrief on this process also. So Jagmohan ji, whom do you tag?
May I request Vajanti ji?
Okay, but her sound.
Okay, okay, sound is on.
Yes.
Okay, Chitra.
Okay. Chitra, where are you?
Ma'am, giving me lot.
Okay, she cannot because again her internet.
Because yeah, I'm going in and out.
No worries, no worries.
Inderpalji.
Okay, Inderpalji, do you want? Have you drawn?
Yeah, I've drawn.
Okay, so we are going to test now. Okay.
Yeah, but I've drawn a balance.
We need to see that.
Oh, sure.
You're not supposed to tell us. We'll see that.
I'm sorry. Anyway, this is it here.
Okay, yeah, great. So who wants to?
Can I try?
Yes,
Sir?
yes, please. Yes, please.
I think I will connect with here when the storytelling session was on, that one should not go into the excitement of telling stories and energizing and entertaining, but also have a balance of learning part also. So that is what I understand from it.
Okay, one more voice. Anyone else wants to guess?
Yes, we should have both fun as well as learning. So there should be a balance. Otherwise, it will become a monotony, especially in a virtual session. If we can engage people, bring some element of fun along with the learning, there will be a good outcome.
Thank you for that. Yes, how close or far were we?
Yeah, more or less, yeah. Because I feel that most of the time people tend to get carried away by on one side, in the sense that too much of content or too much of games, etc. But if we keep a balance, we could be more effective.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. So since we are at the last leg and we will not have more time, right? I'm just going to debrief on this process. It's called Artful Closer. Now this closer is very powerful, not only because it can be used as a closer, it can be used for taking feedback or any other topic that you want. It gives two perspectives, because it makes people draw and come on screen to share. Okay, so that is again the psychological safety that you're creating. And secondly, when learners hear, so here the learner is not only talking about his drawing, people are trying to guess. So, it gives a different perspective to the learner himself or herself that, okay, this can be viewed in this way also. So I thought that this is this, but then I'm having another view of it. So, a more richer learning happens. Shyam, would you want to add something to that?
No, I think I've covered. This can also be used for recap. If you want to do recaps, this can also be a very powerful way of identifying what are the takeaways, insights. It can also be used for feedbacks. So many things.
So yes, that was an N. And before we move, I just want more mentee to go. So that is also again one more way to engage. Just go on this mentee, and if you had to summarize today's webinar in one word, what would that be? I put the link on the chat. If you had to summarize the webinar in one word, what would it be? I'm going to be sharing my screen. Thank you for these words that are coming up. We have this open for the next 30 seconds. We have 26 participants. Thank you. We have people getting in. Thank you so much. Engaging in malleable introspection. Awesome. Yes, Deepak, I see your hand raised. How can we help you? Yes, Deepak, are you there?
I guess maybe
by mistake. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the screen for now. And yes. And it is exactly 5:55. So we have still 5 more minutes to close. And we are done with all the Velas. We had promised 6 Velas and we gave you 7. So thank you so much for being here with us. Over to you, Professor Mani.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you, Kala, and thank you, Shyam, for truly a very engaging session. I think we have redefined the word Vela And every time we are going to use it again, people are going to visualize something more enjoyable and more valuable. As usual, lots of interaction, and I'm sure many of the new participants who came in today would have found this a very unique learning experience. And I hope we at BMA can continue to do justice to the expectations of our members and the management fraternity at large in time to come also. As all of us know, it's still a very difficult phase we are going through between lockdown and unlock, and so many unanswered questions, so many constraints. But I think activities like this energize us, recharge our batteries. And that's exactly what both of you achieved this evening. So let me thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of BMA, on behalf of ITM. You know, it's very rare that we have people with whom I have something like an insurance policy. Whenever I call, the answer is yes. So thank you for that affection, Kala and Shyam, and we look forward to more such learning journeys as we go on. May I request Arun on all our behalf to do a small wrap up and also propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the Bombay Management Association. You get your 2 minutes for those of you who are new. While listening to Arun, you can also powder up for the group photograph that we are going to have as soon as he finishes. Over to you, Arun.
Thank you, Professor Mani, and I'm very happy to do this task. Reason being, हिंदी में कहावत है कि हाथ कंगन को आरसी क्या. So I was observing number of people who joined at the beginning of this program and the number of people at the end of the program, at the conclusion of the program, are same, and that's very rare in webinars. There are few dropouts, but I'm 100% sure that that is because of technical reason and not for any other reason. So what a feast. So ये हाथ कंगन को आरसी क्या यहाँ हो रहा है कि it is engaging virtual program itself, and they've shared a lot of so-called secrets. Why I'm using word so-called? Because I know Shyam Iyer since last more than 10 years. IAF days, his Tata days, and I observed one thing. In those days, we used to talk to people that this trainers fraternity is very insecure fraternity. We don't share information. We don't share important information, the fees you charge, and a lot of other things. At that point of time, I came across Shyam Iyer, and I observed that a lot of insight related to facilitation processes, a lot of other information related to training and facilitation. He always felt so free to share it, like freely. And that was unusual for those days. And now I'm very proud to say that now so many people have taken inspiration, and now many other people in the fraternity also have started sharing and caring for other people in the industry. So I think it's a good beginning. You have set a big, as a role as a model, you have created examples which people are already following. So it's a great feast. I think I should compliment you on that. And what can I say about Kala? She's a great support to Shyam in this entire process, and lot of workshops. I think if we talk about numbers, even they have probably lost the count that how many such sessions we have done. And when we talk about these sessions, the way they are conducting, both of you, Kala and Shyam, I call it Jugalbandi. It's a wonderful Jugalbandi, that where Shyam should talk, where Kala should pitch in, then again when Shyam should come. It's beautiful, and it keeps all of us so much engaging that it's really wonderful feelings. And in the process, you have shared a lot of processes, a lot of ways we can use, we can copy. Personally, I learned a lot today, and I can definitely use in my training, and which is very useful. Few pointers which I really liked. One is about introspection. This entire process gives me a lot of scope for introspection, and I like that. Second was that how to use tools which are available. These tools are available to people anyways. Chat is available to everyone, right? Many other Mentimeter, a lot of things are available to everyone. But the way you have shown us that how effectively it could be used is marvelous. And I can get insight. And like simple thing like when you say that, okay, please write in the chat box. And Shyam asked me, Arun, can you read 3 talks? Oh, I feel so good that, wow, I've been given a chance. I've become hero. I become sort of co-facilitator, right? So it gives a
pride, it gives pleasure, it makes me engaged. So like this small and big pointers, that 3 C's which you're given, 4 questions that you've given, it's fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm sure each and every person have enjoyed. I don't have to think. I mean, there is a live proof that they enjoyed and they learned a lot. So Kirkpatrick का चारों जो level है वो आपने एकदम बखूबी निभा दिया है. So thank you very much for that, and I'm very happy and look forward to attend more session from you. So on behalf of BMA, thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arun, for that wonderful summary and a kind of revision. Plus, of course, we all echo what you said, whether it be Sham or Kala. I think they've always believed in sharing dil se, as they say, dil khol ke. And that's where we often say that you become more successful by helping others become successful. And I think this is one good thing that we have noticed about them. As always, we will have our group photograph, but in the meantime, Jagmohan, would you like to say something before we close up for the group photograph?
Yes, sir. I wanted to say something. Thank you very much, Sham and Kala. Always a pleasure to attend your sessions. I will not take much of your time, but what I wanted to highlight is that in line with the BMA Friday Fundas, we are coming with another new initiative. I'm just sharing a screen for a 30-second. Sir, can you allow me to share the screen, please? For digital leadership?
Wait, I'll make it the code.
Don't worry, I'm doing it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that screen, and I wanted you to see that we are rolling out Digital Leadership Summit. Can you see my screen now, all of you?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is starting on 5th November, 5th, 6th, and 7th November. It is hosted on GeoMeet platform. And best part is we are expecting large number of participants. It's 3 days to go, and legendary speakers, my dear friend. It is on manufacturing, retail, GovTech, healthcare, marketing, and finance. And you can see the list of speakers. I think our colleagues will forward you this brochure, and you can see it on Facebook as well as on our BMS site also. So my request is that you can register it and attend this particular, path-breaking session, which is going to be there on 5th, 6th, and 7th. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you very much once again, Professor Mani, for allowing me this.
Thanks, Jagmohan. And I must say that this is the first Digital Leadership Summit of BMA, which is being offered digitally. Otherwise, all Digital Leadership Summits were offered physically. So we decided, let's walk the talk instead of only talking. And the team of Jagmohan, Rishi, and Supriya have done fantastic work. So next Friday Fundas actually coincides with this Digital Leadership Summit. In the meantime, as you get ready for your group photographs, may I request once again, all of you, please put on your videos, get ready to capture this moment that we spent with Kala and Sham. And of course, the next Wednesday Wisdom webinar, if Kala will not mind me saying it, someone might have asked Kala, what is the secret of your beautiful smile? And she then said that, I know that dental hygiene is the secret to good health. And that's the theme of our next Wednesday webinar, dental hygiene as a gateway to good health, by one of the most eminent periodontists of Mumbai, Dr. Kumar Swami, who has been in practice for over 40 years. He's in conversation along with a team of people from GSK and Sensodyne, talking about dental hygiene as a gateway to good health. So start practicing for that right now. Let's capture your smiles. We couldn't capture some of your audios because of technical difficulties, but I think we can still catch your smile. All set, Lakshmi, Oindrila, as usual. They are the digital expert photographers. No, I was joking. They are very, very active, very, very efficient staff of our Bombay Management Association Secretariat. All smiles, go ahead. Deepa, Sheetal, Mukh Darshan ho jaye. Deepa was actually checking how many people actually paid the registration fee. She's the treasurer. Therefore, she was not, coming on immediately. Now she's happy. You can see the smile.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Manisha.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kala. Thanks, Sham.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Any of you can leave your feedback besides what you've already expressed in the chat box. We are live for another 3 minutes.
This methodology is excellent for conducting value percolation workshops, values percolation workshops, because otherwise it becomes a one-way bhashan and people don't absorb. But I suppose using this kind of methodology, it can be really drilled down deep.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You must have definitely done carried out such workshops.
Yeah, we have done missioning value.
Yeah, to percolate values, values.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Professor Mani, for this. It was amazing for us to also experience Velagiri with all the participants, and of course, having Arun and other known faces gives us a psychological safety in a way that we are in safe hands.
Space.
If anything goes wrong, they are there to salvage the thing.
Jam with you, nothing will go wrong.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Happy weekend. Stay safe. Stay blessed.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.